Good day, YouTube. Today is the 27th of October, 2018. This is going to be an entirely different video than videos that I've done in the past. What I really have to chat about today is some things that have happened to me in my life that you might find interesting, possibly inspiring, maybe eye-opening. So my name is Glenn. I'm 54 years old, born 1964. I would say about 1984, and some of this is going to be kind of borderline embarrassing too, but you know what, I think the story is worth telling. I experienced some issues, let's just say, with the round boys in the gentleman's area, and I kind of thought it was like swelling and this and that. So of course, being in my very early 20s, let's just ignore it, things will go away. And I ignored it for actually quite a while on into the winter. I probably shouldn't have been ignoring it, but I was ignoring the situation, and I don't think anything would have ever taken me to a doctor to have those issues or that issue looked at. And here is the first part of my divine intervention story. And it's really how it happened. I can't remember what month. Let's just say it was in December. We were hanging out, myself and my girlfriend since high school, were hanging out, doing some work at a shop that my dad and business partner of his had, dismantling cars. My girlfriend and I were doing some little bit of body work, painting, detailing, engine detailing, that kind of stuff. We were kind of like self-employed. I actually had a job, but things were very slow at that time. My dad actually had a job, and you know, he was an electrician. I was working for the same company, but there just wasn't any work. He started this automotive dismantling business, rented a shop, he and his business partner, and they set out to try to make a buck in that world, not knowing how soon the economy would turn around. So we were out there. I can't remember just exactly what we were doing, but I remember I had my camper. I had a little Datsun pickup. I had a little 6-foot camper, and it was like a year old. It was but it was small. Well, my girlfriend and I would go out and go fishing or go wandering around or something. It was kind of nice to have that. But in the wintertime, I got to store it in a really nice shop, and that's where it was. I tell you that to tell you this. It started snowing that day, and we took a little break when it got a couple 3 inches on the ground or something, and we're probably out goofing off and making snowballs, and my girlfriend had a pretty good right arm, and she lobbed one my direction and hit me in the gentleman's area. And the situation I mentioned about the round article in that position that I had previous really exasperated or got major league worse. I was buckled over in pain, everybody was laughing, and I was like, people, this is not funny. This hurts something bad, and I have issues. I spent possibly the next hour or two moaning in pain, hanging out my camper with the heater going. I'm telling myself it'll just go away, right? I just was avoiding the doctor like the plague. And I did avoid the doctor. I don't know why, but I did. I had a swelling situation that went from not too good to way, way worse, and I ignored that. It was not a week or two later, I drove my Datsun pickup down from Albany, Oregon to Fresno, California to help my mom move. That was like 725 miles or something like that. A nice long drive when you're not feeling very good, and I had to help her move. In that process of 3 or 4 or 5 days, whatever I was down there, One of the last things we had to move was a piano, and grabbed a hold of that thing and got it pushed out the door onto the back of my little truck, and we got it moved. But that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. And I realized at that point, this isn't going away. I'm going to have to see a doctor about it. I traveled home with a truckload of items that my mother had given me because she couldn't give them away, I guess. He was moving into a much smaller place. And I got home and attempted to sleep that night, realized I couldn't, and went to the doctor and diagnosed with a hematoma in that area. And there was basically no saving it, and scheduled me for surgery to basically to have one of them removed. And so we had the surgery and everything was good, and I was scheduled to come in for a follow-up because I was not released to go back to work or anything like that. And I did have a real job, but we were messing around detailing cars and making more money, so I was avoiding my real job. But sometimes you have to go back because insurance and stuff like that. So I was kind of looking forward to going back to work, and I came in for my follow-up appointment, and the doctor goes, "Mr. Anderson, sit down, I have some news that is not going to be very good. As we had that item removed from you, the policy that when we remove things from people is they go into a lab for testing, and yours came back with, count them, 3 malignant tumors." I thought this would be a little hard to talk about, and it kind of is, but basically, Mr. Anderson, you have cancer, and we have to figure out our next plan. We basically said he had the plan figured out, and he was about to tell me what that was. So, and it was another surgery, and it went on for a while, and I avoided chemo and stuff like that. Surgeries were a success. I was watched across the nation in medical journals. The protocol for my surgery was to remove all my lymph nodes right through the front. So I was sliced from as far down as you can get to about right there, just below the chest line. Opened up, and they took out 103 lymph nodes, and that's the freeway that cancer travels on. So that if it was in my system, that it wouldn't travel. That is not the protocol that they use today. I was one of the study patients, again, in the medical journals, and that was the protocol at the time, but it isn't the protocol now. There's a lot of negative side effects to that, which we won't go into. But hey, I was checked very regularly, blood tests, tumor markers, all that stuff for 5 years, and I still get checked tumor markers every year when I get my physical with my current doctor, and cancer-free, so all that's good. How would they have found that? You spend a lot of time when you're in hospitals, hanging out there, healing from stuff like that. And I was like, there's no way I'd have went to the doctor. There is no way I'd have went to the doctor. If the snowball didn't find itself hitting in the wrong spot, I wouldn't be alive today. So if that isn't divine intervention, I don't know what is. That was number 1. So now we move on to number 2, and in 2018, well, let's go back a little bit. About 7 years ago, I was diagnosed as type 2 diabetic, and some major changes needed to happen in my life, and had to make much better decisions and get on some medications and so forth. And for the first few years, I did pretty good with that. More recently, and in 2018, for whatever reason, my subconscious or whatever decided that I think the medication will deal with my type 2 diabetes just fine on its own, and I don't need to make the decisions that I have been making to keep my A1C, my blood sugar level, in check. Well, and I kind of maybe pushed out my annual physical a few extra months, and we scheduled ourselves a 7-day Alaska cruise for this July 2018, which was a wonderful trip. However, a couple of days before we were to leave from Albany, Oregon to Seattle, Washington, where we were hanging out for a couple of days before our ship sailed, I had some back pain that I have not experienced before. I have back pain, but this was different in a different place in a different way, and I didn't know why. What had I done just before we left? Is this going to, kibosh our vacation or etc.? So I kind of fought with that through the couple days we were in Seattle. It got a little bit worse, and then we got on a cruise ship, and it would kind of hurt at night, hard to get in and out of bed. But once I was active for the day, it got a little better, and sometimes in the afternoon it really didn't bother me much. But then towards the evening and so forth, it started bothering me. And the longer the cruise went, the worse it was. The cruise ship had an acupuncturist, and he put on a seminar. I decided I'm going to go to that thing because I've been buying these ibuprofen little bitty bottles for $8, whatever, on the boat, and we're not really helping the pain any here. Maybe this guy could do something. I didn't know anything about acupuncture, never gave it a moment's thought. Went to his little seminar. He goes, your insurance isn't going to cover it. It's $200. Sign up for it, and we'll go there. So I thought, what could it hurt? Maybe it'll save our vacation a little bit. So I signed up for it and had acupuncture on the boat. They said, where does it hurt? I kind of explained kind of the middle of my back, right up here, but doesn't really feel like a muscular skeletal thing. It's kind of weird, more of a tissue thing. He's kind of scratching his head a little bit, and he had some theories he was working with. I said, well, while you're at it, I said, my neck, because I've been involved in major car crashes, motorcycle crashes, and race car crashes. I've had 3 known concussions in my life, and my neck is a wreck, and I have neck pain a lot. I get migraines associated with my neck pain. So he treated my back, treated my neck, but my back didn't really get better, and my neck wasn't bothering me that much at the time, so I called it a fail. Paid him $200 and left there in worse shape than when I arrived. So we made it through the cruise, and we made it back home, and this back pain thing starts getting bad. So I had my wife call my doctor, who I had put off getting my annual physical, and try to get it moved back up as quickly as possible so that he could help me with my back pain. She was successful in doing that. I had the appointment the next day. Went in to see my doctor, and he's hemming and hawing. We do all the blood work and stuff, but he didn't have any of those results yet, and sent me off to physical therapy. So off to physical therapy I go, and I've had a lot of bad experience with physical therapy, and I asked the physical therapist, you've seen my x-rays, because my doctor sent me down and had x-rays. You've seen the x-rays. What are you treating me for? Well, we think you're just real tight in your spine area, and where your nerves come out, they need more room, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you really think that's what's wrong? Then let's go there. And she's pushing and shoving and pushing and shoving, and causing me a ton more pain. It was excruciating pain. And it got to the point where the no pain meds my doc was prescribing me was cutting it. The physical therapy was making it worse, and I didn't know what to do or where to go. I started going back into the immediate care, seeing any doctor that's going to be there. I spent most of a day there, and when that was all said and done, after a few weeks, I had 5 sets of x-rays, a CAT scan and an MRI, and tons of other blood work, just trying to rule out kidney stones and whatever they were looking for. You're grasping at straws. Every doctor's giving me new pain meds because I'm telling them what I'm taking. It is doing nothing, and it's to the point now where I can't sleep at night. I literally went for a month, about 5 or 6 weeks actually, averaging about 2 hours of sleep. 5 nights I got no sleep at all, and twice they were 2 in a row. So I got 2 hours of sleep. 2 nights in a row I got no sleep, and then maybe another 2 or 3 hours the next night. I'm working every day. I'm getting through work, but I get home and I go, straight to bed. The only relief I get is soaking in a hot tub. And I was doing that 8 to 10 times a night, trying to get a half an hour's sleep after what turned out to be my nerves relaxed. So I get the results back finally, and I'm now seeing a neurologist and a pain specialist and all this stuff, all with no good results. But it finally clicked to me when my doctor went over. I made another appointment to see my doctor and went over the blood work, and my A1C was 11.4. And if you don't know what good, bad, or whatever A1C is, you need to be below 7. A blood sugar level, if you tested yourself right now, if you had eaten about 3 or 4 or 5 hours ago or something, you should test in the 100, maybe high 80s, 90s, up to maybe like 110, 120. That you should be averaging about 100, give or take 10, 15. And at 11.4, I'm averaging 300. When I was first diagnosed as diabetic, I had blood work done in the afternoon, and I got a phone call after the blood work came back at home from one of the doctors that was very concerned because I had a blood sugar level at the time that I tested at like 320. And they said at over 300, you're at risk of heart attack or stroke. And we're very concerned that you came in, walking in here, and your blood sugar level was that high, or extremely high. But to average 300, and your A1C is basically a 90-day average, because the stuff stays in your blood about 90 days. So when you get an A1C test, it's a 90-day average of your blood sugar. And in 90 days that I stayed at an average of 300, which means I'm in the 400, 500, maybe 600, hit the dessert aisle on the cruise ship after, a great meal and all that stuff. I'm at 500 or 600. I'm deep into stroke territory. And that scared me, but it also rang a bell. That's my problem. My neurologist told me that big shifts in the chemistry of your body can cause all kinds of problems with your nerves. And I shot it over the bow with blood sugar levels at probably 500 or 600, and I didn't die. I didn't have a stroke, but my body didn't like that very well. So fast forward, so that was just end of July and early August. I spent August and half of September not sleeping and all of that, and in excruciating pain every day, to the point where I really didn't want to live. I felt like I possibly was dealt some cards here that might be a life sentence, and maybe I'm not interested in living this way. I thought that every day for a while. Then I got to thinking one night when I'm not sleeping, I'm sweating to death, I'm in all kinds of pain. I'm popping every doctor that gave me pills, I'm taking them. And any combination that I could find to try to knock the pain out of it did. I spent more time in the bathtub than in my bed. But I realized that that's what had caused it, but how can I get some relief? I'm running out of options. And I thought about the acupuncturist on the boat, because I'm realizing at that point, okay, that acupuncturist didn't cure what ailed me, but we didn't know what he was shooting for either. But I told him about my neck, and come to think of it, it hadn't hurt since. And it hasn't hurt since until today. It doesn't hurt. So maybe there's something to that. And I grab my phone and I'm looking through for local acupuncturists, and I'm trying to get an appointment with any one of them. I don't care if I have to pay for this out of my pocket. It doesn't matter. Somebody get me in, and one guy, we'll just call him Will, said I can get you in like 2 weeks. So 2 more weeks, I can get in there. That's the best I could do. And he got it, approved through my insurance all that time for 6 sessions. And I got in to him, and I told him where my worst pain was in my lower back. And it's nerves firing. It's not muscles and stuff. I could get through the day. I was very tired, very wore out. It took a lot out of me without huge amounts of pain most every day, good days, bad days, but man, as soon as I laid down, within 20 minutes, these nerves are firing. It feels like you peeled a ½ inch of skin away and dumped acid in there and then put it back. That's what it feels like, and it's absolutely, that's what it feels like. It was indescribable amount of pain. I had my first acupuncture appointment. I showed him where my worst pain was in my back, and in like 2 days later, I'm realizing it doesn't hurt there anymore. And then I get another appointment with him, and I show him another area in my back where the physical terrorist pushed on my back so hard that I have a spot pain there that just won't go away. And he worked on that, and that went away. That was my second worst pain. Then my whole upper back on the third appointment wiped that pain away, and at that point I could sleep. That was huge. That's appointment number 3. I had other nerve pain other places on my body, but it was insignificant compared to my back. It has come around, and it still is right here and across here. Again, I have good days and bad days. I have a little bit on my left foot, and I have a little bit in this hand, especially this finger right here. Very minor compared to the back. Will did work on this spot last time, was unsuccessful here, but there was some lingering stuff on my back that he took care of, or something that maybe came back. But I have another appointment with him on Monday to help me probably here, and I'm starting to run out of places for pain. And it's been almost a month since I've seen him, but acupuncture, it was a lifesaver. There was no way I could still be alive today without acupuncture treating my pain. I was driving 35 minutes one way to work and back on the freeway every day with no sleep. I fell asleep one evening just coming here to the barn at a stoplight right behind a cop for enough time to have the light cycle one time. It's crazy. Without healing the pain so that I could sleep, there's no way I'd be alive today. So what has happened is I'm now seeing a diabetic specialist that's helping me get back on track. I knew how to be on track, and now I am on track. What is now different than before is the motivation to stay on track. Because I just went through 3 months of living hell. Every single night is what I had to look forward to, and there is no way I would ever put myself at risk to do that again. So nobody has seen this condition that I had. Nobody could really feel for this. I believe, once again, divine intervention. I was handed this to drive home the fact that I need to take care of myself. I need to make better decisions, eat properly, take my medications, see my doctor, keep my numbers in line for the rest of my life. This could be the result of not doing that. And there is nothing on this earth that will keep me from taking care of, making the right decisions, drop some weight, make things better every day, and avoid this situation. 2 divine intervention stories for me for my first 54 years of life. So somebody wants me here on this earth for a while longer. I'm not going to have a heart attack. I'm not going to stroke out. I'm not going to die of cancer. I'm supposed to be here, and I need to take the more subtle hints, I guess you would say, and not have to have the thing crushed over my head, if you will, because there's been lots of subtle hints, and I've ignored them, and God says that if you can't take a subtle hint, I'll give this to you. That's what it'll take to make you realize what you're doing to yourself and get it corrected. So, 2 divine intervention stories for me to you. I hope it was inspiring. I did it for you guys, and to tell that story. How long will we be on this earth? You know, you don't know, but you make every day count, because again, you don't know. So let's make them count. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's take those subtle hints and take them to heart and make yourself better. And if you see somebody struggling, give them a hand. Can we do that? All right, cool. Thank you, guys.